Welcome to the SpeakIn podcast. I'm Sherwin, Chief of Office at SpeakIn, Asia's largest digital learning platform for professional learning via one-on-one coaching and group learning sessions. It is my honor and privilege to be joined by Gordon Tredgold. Gordon Tredgold is a highly sought-after keynote speaker on leadership, employee engagement, and operational excellence, and has been recognized as a top 10 leadership expert and speaker by global gurus. Gordon has developed a highly successful and proven fast approach that simplifies solutions, increases engagement and accountability, and helps deliver results for clients including Accenture, GE Aviation, Lion, Baxter International, and American Airlines, among others. So today we hear Gordon's journey, his experience, success, and challenges. Let's welcome Gordon.
Thank you. My pleasure, Sherwin.
Hi,
Honored to
Gordon.
be here.
Thank you so much for taking the time to join me today. So, my first question to you is, can you share more about your background with us and how you became one of the most sought after leadership expert and speaker?
So if I really go the full journey, when I was younger, I had two passions: rugby. I loved sport. I loved competing, and I was a mathematics student. So I did mathematics at university. So I'm very competitive, and I'm very analytical. And once I started my professional career, I worked in IT. Started as a programming, but then getting involved in projects. And I found that the way to advance the fastest was to take on those difficult projects that nobody else wanted to do. The ones that people thought, wow, that's got a high chance of failure. Let's keep out of that. But my competitive nature and my analytical ability, that was an area in which that thrived. It allowed me to go in and when people think it's going to fail, they're quite happy for you to change the approach. And for me, it was low risk, because if it fails, it's no surprise. Everybody thought it was going to fail anyway. But if you succeed, now you're a star. So for me, I saw that as the way to accelerate my career. And I started delivering a lot of complex projects and, my own. This sounds very egotistical, but I say it this way for a particular reason. But it was my own capability and skills which allowed me to drive and deliver projects. But then what I realized was, as I got to a larger scale, I was much more dependent on other people. I couldn't do everything. I couldn't oversee everything. So now what I had to do is I had to start to train other people to do the things that I did. So that moved me from kind of a doing to a leading and coaching position. And what I realized with that was that as soon as you so it's about making other people the hero rather than being the hero, which is difficult to let go of, because we all want to be the hero. But if you can be focused on creating more heroes, the impact you have is now multiplied. So I can have a bigger impact on results and performance. And that started me to then go down the leadership path and get much more detailed understanding of how I was motivating people, so I could then expand that approach. And fast was a solution that came to me because taking on difficult projects, I got a reputation which then got me brought into projects that were failing to turn them around. And my analytical nature got me to ask the question, do I have a process I'm following subconsciously? If I do, can I pull that out, break it down step by step, so I can then share it and teach it to others? And that's where fast came from. And another one of my strengths is simplicity. So what I'm going to say sounds really simple, but it's absolute fact. As a turnaround expert, I only do two things. First, I found out what's wrong. Second, I fix it. That's the approach. And I know that sounds really simplistic, but it's important to understand, because then that leads to the next question of, are there common reasons why things fail? And when I did the analysis of that, I came up with 4 reasons why things fail, which make up fast. And the first one is a lack of focus. People don't know what the goal and objective is. So if you lack clarity around the target, how can you hit it? The second one is about accountability, and that's about the who. Have we communicated to people what we expect of them? Because if we haven't told them what we expect, how can they do it? And how are we sure that we've given them the tools to do the job? And then the third part is about the how. We fail because we don't know how to achieve success. We set off on a journey where the destination is unsure and the route is even less clear, which is a guarantee for failure. So have we communicated how we're going to deliver it, and do people believe it? Because if people believe the approach is going to be success, they're going to be engaged. If they've got the tools to do it, they're going to be able to do it. If they know what success looks like, they can aim for it clearly. And then the third part is transparency. Do we know what's involved? And have we set ourselves up for success? If you and I want to have a baby, it takes 9 months. If we decide we want to do it in 6 months because that sounds like a good idea, that's not going to work. It takes 9 months. So we need to be clear about, have we given ourselves enough time to succeed? And a lot of projects, the Gartner says that projects tend to cost 3 times as much and take 3 times as long as initially estimated. So if that's true, the majority of projects have failed before they even start. So, we need to know what the goal is. We need to make sure we've given the people involved clear instructions and the tools. We need to be clear about, we know how we're going to be successful and people believe it. And then we need to be clear that we set ourselves up for success. And then the last part of transparency is, do we have a feedback mechanism that shows us after 50% of the time, we've achieved 50% of the goal, or we're 50% of the way to the target? Because if we have that feedback loop, that's going to motivate us as we start to see ourselves progress. And then when we get within touching distance, people become excited and work even harder. And that whole principle is what makes up my fast approach. And yes, it helps deliver better results. But also, if people are confident that the job can be done and they have the tools to do it, they're going to be engaged. Everybody wants to be successful. And when you have that fast mindset, you create teams that are excited and who are proud of what they do and want to do even more. I appreciate that's a long answer, but I try to just cover it all as simply as possible.
No, that's very interesting. I was like thinking, that is very true. There are some things like, it's very true what you say. If like we don't have a clear goal or like a clarity or expectations, then we cannot move forward.
So Einstein, I use a lot of quotes because I like to, another one of my strengths is to be able to explain things in a way that people can understand or get them to think a little bit differently. And Einstein, who was one of the smartest men in the world, he said that if he had an hour to save the world, he would spend 55 minutes understanding the problem and 5 minutes working on the solution. Because if he's got the right problem, then when he applies his solution, he's going to be making progress. But we live in a very fast-paced world where we get about a minute to think about the problem, and then we're just told to execute. But if we've misunderstood it ever so slightly, now we're solving the wrong thing. We're working towards the wrong goal. And, failure is going to be the outcome. So, and another quote from Peter Drucker is that management is about doing things right. Leadership is about making sure we're doing the right things. So as leaders, it's our job to take that step back, to take the time to be sure we know what the problem is and the solution is, to communicate to our teams. And if we do that, we'll increase team effectiveness tremendously. I mean, it's simple to do, but it's difficult sometimes to find the time to do it, because we're told go, 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 go. And if we don't stop and ask where, we might set off in the wrong direction.
That is very true. I really love the quote though. I'm going to find it. I'm going to use it later.
Well, there's another thing that's interesting, and this is one of the things I talk about in on accountability. Do you know what according to IBM research on projects that failed, what percentage of the time did the teams know day one that project had no chance? So how often did people know day one project was going to fail? 75.
That is a very high number.
75%. Now, there's a simple thing. Again, I love simplicity. There's a simple thing we could do. Do you know what that is?
Communicate.
Ask our teams, do you think this will fail? And if they say, yeah, we ask them, why? And if they tell us it's a lack of resources, provide the resource. If they say it's a lack of time, provide more time. And one of the things I talk about with accountability is that I cannot make you accountable. I can make you responsible. I can say this is your job, but accountability is taking ownership. And when we take ownership, it's the person's decision whether to take it or not. So I can't make you take ownership, but there's one thing I can do to increase the probability that you'll take ownership, and that's to ask you, do you have everything you need to be successful? And when you say yes, now you've taken ownership, because you've just told yourself, I have everything I need. And also you've just told yourself, I can do this. I'm going to be successful. But a lot of people don't want to ask that question. And they tell me, but what if the person says no? I said, well, that's your job. You're accountable as their leader to set them up for success. And if you haven't given them enough time, the resources, skills, or training, and they fail, you're accountable for that failure, not them. So a lot of this is very simple, but people they don't do it. And I think sometimes it's just, as I said, we're under so much pressure to act that it should be think, act, do, not act, think, redo. That's why things fail and take more money, because we're in that act, think, redo mode. And another quote I like, or a phrase I use, is there's never enough money to do it right, but we always find the money to do it again. So why not just find the money to do it right first time?
I'm glad that.
I mean, that's simple, isn't it?
That is very true. I'm glad that it's an off-camera podcast, because my face is just going, yeah.
Well, I'd like people to perceive of me as an expert, I would love that. But a lot of the things that I've shared are just common sense, but they're not common practice. And we need to bring common sense back into common practice. And everything I'm talking about, yes, I have a degree in mathematics, which implies a level of intelligence, but there's nothing I've said that is impossible for anybody else to do. That, you know, they're simple things. I mean, another great phrase I like, this comes from tailoring: measure twice, cut once. You know, because if you measure once and cut once, you might have cut the wrong thing. So, you know, measure twice, cut once. So that's about that, you know, think again, and then take the action. And we prevent mistakes. We can avoid avoidable mistakes. And when you do that, you will progress faster. You will achieve success quicker, less stressful, less burnout. And if your team's and you know, when we talk about engagement, if a team thinks it's going to fail, they're not going to be engaged. Why would I engage in failure? And if I'm not engaged, even if I think it's going to fail, but actually it's a chance of being successful, if I'm not engaged, it's going to fail. You know, we've almost guaranteed the failure by thinking this will fail. So you want your teams thinking day one, this will be successful, or yeah, this could be successful. So when we start the journey, if things start to fail, people go, oh my God, let's fix it. Whereas if they think it's going to fail and it starts to fail, they just go, told you this was going to happen. And they become spectators of a failure rather than participants in finding solutions. So I say,
that is very true.
yeah, absolutely. I'm not a genius. I'm just sharing truth. This is common sense truth, but people, as I say, it's not common practice.
Yes, we need to put in the common sense into the practice.
And this is why I'm a popular and sought after leader, because when I come in and work with teams, you start to see a transformation really quickly, because teams go from I can't to we could to we can, and the momentum's different, the culture, the atmosphere within the team is different, and it's about, you know, the thing about our brains is they're ridiculously powerful. And if you have your brain looking for reasons why this will fail, it will find them. If you have your brain looking for how can we make this work, it will find a way. And we need to make sure we have people in that positive solution mindset rather than negative. There are no positive outcomes of negative thinking. No positive outcomes from negative thinking. So positive thinking, it won't always lead to, you know, my positive thinking that I'll be the best player in the National Basketball Association. Whilst I'm positive about that, me being 5 feet 5 inches tall might stop me from doing that. So not every positive thought is going to deliver a positive outcome, but every negative thought delivers a negative outcome. Everyone. So we've got to get, you know, our teams thinking positively about themselves, about the project. And when they do that, they're engaged, will drive results, will drive operational performance. So all of these things are interlinked. Happy people, productive people. And
I agree, it's all in the mindset.
And productive people are happy people. So we just got to get that circle either make them happy to get them productive, and then keep them productive to keep them happy. And once you do that, the sky's the limit.
Yeah. So what are 3 practical tips, like just now from your sharing? So hearing a lot of like there were a lot of tips and stuff like that, right? So would you also say like all these starts from the managers?
So ask the question again.
Like would all those things start from the manager? Like the manager have to start thinking about all these things and they have to bring it downwards.
Yeah, absolutely. Leadership defines culture, so it's the leader's job to start thinking about how can I put my teams in a position where they can be successful. And when I do leadership training, I talk about engagement. Who's accountable for employee engagement? And you look at all of the statistics that come out, and if it's America, there's 33% engaged, 67 not engaged. Worldwide, it's 15 engaged, 85. I don't believe that. I've worked in multiple countries. It's about the same. So let's go with the 2/3 engaged. And every time we do that, managers run programs on how employees can be more engaged. But it's the manager's job to engage the people. If you let them know why what we're doing is important, how they'll benefit, you let them know how to do it and give them the tools, they will be engaged. If you don't do any of those three things, why should I engage? You don't care, I don't care. And there's an even more interesting stat, and not Gartner, Gallup seem to have stopped measuring this. And I suspect it's because there's no market for it. But employee engagement in America is at 33%. Do you know what percentage management engagement is?
I have a feeling that it's lower.
Yeah, it's 30%. But managers don't want to hear it's my fault. And that's why we keep doing, employee engagement services. It's not me, it's them that's not engaged. Yeah, but you have to engage them. And when you engage them, they will become engaged. If you don't engage them, and sending an email or issuing a command is not the same as engaging people. Engaging them is letting them know why this is important, how we're going to do it, and then asking them, do you have the tools to do it? When you do those three things, people will become engaged. It's as simple as that. But people don't want to do that. I'm the boss. I just want to, we've hired you to be successful. Go be successful. That's not how it works. People need to be motivated. Money, salary gets them through the door. Leadership motivates them to be successful. Sorry to say that. If your team's not performing, I mean, this is a saying I always use and people don't like it, but I don't care. Every time somebody tells me I have a bad team, what I hear is I'm a bad manager. And yeah, absolutely. But if you're constantly looking at the symptom and trying to cure the symptom, you're never going to be successful. That's the wrong focus. We've got to fix the problem, not the symptom. And when you look at why people fail, I've done a lot of research on this and investigation, and a lot of that with people that I've worked with. When you look at reasons why people fail, they don't have the skills. That's my fault. I shouldn't have given them a job they're not capable of doing. They don't have the time. That's my fault. I should have given them the time to do the job. They don't have the tools. That's my fault. I should have given them the tools. They don't have the resources. I should have given them the resources. They don't understand what it is that's needed. That's my fault. And then the other reason why they might fail is they can't be bothered. Only one of them is their fault, and it's I can't be bothered. And even that, if I paint bright enough vision, I should be able to get you to be bothered. But even in that case, when you can't be bothered, that's the point at which we should be looking at getting rid of people. But we have to fix the other 5 things first. But people don't do that. They see that person underperforming, They criticize them. They, watch them again. They see them underperform 2 times, 3 times, and then they fire them rather than fixing the problem. And when you bring in somebody new, if you haven't fixed the problem, it's just going to repeat. Yeah, I mean, as I say, there's nothing insightful about this. It's basic, fundamental common sense, but people don't do it. People just don't do it. Common sense ain't common practice.
So what are 3 practical tips that you can share for managers to transit to become better leaders?
I can give you 4 things that people could do right now, every day, that will improve their leadership. Number 1, smile more. When we smile, we make ourselves more approachable, more accessible. It reduces stress in ourselves. It instigates a smile into the person. When I said that you smiled, that reduces the stress in them. So we've now created a less stressful environment where we feel more approachable. Listen more. When we listen to people, we are showing respect. We are engaging them because by virtue of listening, we've probably asked a question. So we started that engagement. And when we listen, we show respect. When we respect people, they will respect you more. It shows that we have trust in them and we want their contribution. And we might learn something. Number 3, talk more. Tell people what our goals and objectives are, why we are doing what we are doing, what's the progress that we're making, to give people feedback. Because when we do that, they have a better understanding. It allows them to make better decisions, and they're going to trust us more when they understand why we're doing what we're doing. And then the last thing is praise more. Give people positive feedback, even if it's, oh, wow, your hair looks great today. Good job. Well done. Yeah, absolutely. People say flattery gets you nowhere. Sorry, flattery gets you everywhere, as long as it's sincere. So we should be calling out good performance, good behavior. And when we recognize people, what gets recognized gets repeated. When we leave a tip in a restaurant, we're doing it for 2 reasons. 1, we're thanking them for the good job that they've done, but also we want them to remember us when we come back, so they'll do a good job again. So recognition isn't just about what you've done. It's also about what you're going to do next. And what gets recognized gets repeated. So 4 simple things you could do right now to improve your leadership: smile more, listen more, talk more, praise more.
That is very wonderful and very practical tips that we can do every day.
And you do not need a PhD in leadership to do any of those. Every single person can do those. And if you're not doing them, it's a choice. You are choosing to be a poorer leader. And let me just say, good luck with that career.
That is very true. Yeah, there's a lot of light bulbs coming in right now. Thank you so much for sharing, Gordon.
It's common sense, but it's just common sense.
And we have to put the common sense back into common practice.
Correct. Common sense, making common sense common practice. Yeah, I should change that to my tagline. Not making good managers into great leaders, but making common sense common practice. And
then they will become from good to great.
Absolutely.
It goes hand in hand.
Absolutely. I mean, great is achievable providing you start the journey. If you never start the journey,
you'll never be great.
Good luck with that.
Thank you so much, Gordon. Just taking note of the time. So I believe that all our learners and listeners will be able to learn a lot from your sharing, like I have today, in just a very short time. So I wish I had more time to talk with you, because your thoughts are so...
I'm going to give you more time to talk with me. Well, what I'd like to do, well, not talk with me, listen to me. What I'm going to do is I'll share a link which will allow people to download either the audio copy of Fast or a digital copy if they prefer to read it. The audio is fantastic. I say that because it's 2 hours. So if you have a long car journey or a train journey or you commute to work, you can listen to it in a couple of trips. The book takes about 4, you could read it in 2 hours, but the audio is definitely 2 hours. So yeah, we'll share a link for that.
Thank you so much. I'll be the first one to listen to it. Thank you so much, Gordon.
Okay, thank you. My pleasure.